a new Turkish threat is emerging. I want to be very clear. Turkey and Qatar have gained influence in Syria, are seeking influence elsewhere and everywhere throughout the region. And from here, I warn, Turkey is the new Iran. Erdogan is sophisticated, dangerous, and he seeks to encircle Israel. And while some senior Israelis were on Qatar's payroll, Qatar and Turkey are nourishing the Islamic Brotherhood monster that is growing and eventually might become as dangerous as the one created by Iran. Turkey and Qatar are gaining influence not only in Syria, but also in Gaza, through the front door, and everywhere, and trying to create a new choke ring. Turkey is trying to flip Saudi Arabia against us and establish a hostile Sunni axis with nuclear Pakistan.
He's clearly jockeying to take on Netanyahu by offering kind of a more broad vision beyond Iraq, a more forward-looking vision for expanding Israel's hegemony throughout the region. And he's calling for basically open conflict with a NATO state. Because Turkey is controlled by the AKP party, which is inspired by the Muslim Brotherhood, but it's still a state that is the #2 export partner for natural gas to Israel, that helps supply Israel's war machine, that abides by NATO, that has NATO listening stations directed against Iran, that played a real role in toppling the government of Syria, which was an Israeli priority. But Israel's already kind of engaged in a war in the gray zone, you could call it, against Turkey in Syria, because the Turkish government, the Syrian government of Ahmed al-Sharaa, who's like this rebranded al-Qaeda leader, is basically, his main backer is Turkey. And they share this vision of a kind of Sunni Muslim Brotherhood emirate-style vision, which does expand to Israel's borders. The Syrian government's very weak. It lacks credibility among a large part of the Syrian population. That's better for Israel. But I think he sees that Israel faces looming threats if Turkey and Syria become more coherent. Qatar is part of that same axis. So that shows you kind of how extreme Israel's vision for the future is, that they're actually going to direct their war machine against countries that are NATO member states, that are deeply invested in the Western political world, unlike Iran. And it also shows you how much Israel needs enemies in order to keep its own society together. I mean, if the Palestinians just disappeared and voluntarily swam into the sea or self-deported, and Iran just dissolved and welcomed Reza Pahlavi, Israeli society would turn on itself. It would be a mess. It's war and the military that is the real basis and cultural pull for keeping Israeli society together. I mean, it's a colonial society with all of these people from around the world who don't even speak the same language, who struggle to speak the modern Hebrew, and are just and the one thing that keeps them together is the military. And the military is much larger in Israel than it would need to be for a real country of its size for self-defense. The military is there for indoctrination purposes. Naftali Bennett understands this, and he's determined to keep Israel at war perpetually. It's just not a normal country. And as long as there is a Israel there that is a Jewish, kind of exclusively Jewish state, which is based on the concept of Jewish supremacy, not because it's Jewish, but because it's ethno-supremacist, there will be war in the region, and the U.S. will be pulled into those wars as long as it's there. And Iran understands that, and that's why there won't be a ceasefire tomorrow or next week.